to take them for themselves. TT, though, going to pick up the Azir. You almost certainly feel here for Ucal to try and deal with the Nico. It does have a decent way of disengaging that Pop Blossom with that Emperor's Divide. And we'll have to wait and see how it all goes. I feel like TT kind of found themselves the Triforce, if you will, of bans against LNG, getting away Zika's Jax, Scouts Jace, and of course the Kaisa from Gala, as they wait to see where they want to go. And again, I was just about to say, TT could maybe just go straight towards getting their top and jungle locked in here, get themselves a nice kind of combination here with the Renekton and the Sejuani.
We'll have to see now, because we talked about this combination, the fact that when you do take away the AD mid laners, it does force the hand a little bit of the opponent, saying, okay, well, now we have to pick either a magic damage mid laner, or we have to be thinking of double magic damage from our mid jungle here. So for the side of LNG, maybe giving themselves a little bit more of an option. We'll see what they're actually able to go for. I would think that the Cassante is something that Zika does want to try to go towards as one of his most played. Jax being gone, however, is a bit of a hamper for them, so we'll see what they're able to do.
Looks like they're taking your advice, getting yourselves the Cassante right into the thick of things. And again, I think the Cassante and the Xayah did exceptionally well here for Gala and for Zika, you know, kind of respectfully. But it does feel like we are kind of leaning into that more comfort side here for LNG. They're going to have to deal with what TT kind of throw back at them. And also the fact that, you know, they've let their jungler go so far down the priority. We're going to see a lot of bans, you would imagine, from TT along. Well, actually, they still have to ban the Rakan, so maybe not that many.
Oh yeah, wow. You have the Rakan ban that you have to try to get rid of. And then what AD junglers do you want to try to take away? Wukong, I think, perfectly fine. Maybe Thunder Talk, if you're not willing to give up another one, you think of Viego as the next, especially when you look at that top side, the Renekton and the Sejuani. If you get into a late game situation, Viego is going to feel at home, shredding tanks, getting rid of bruisers. LNG, though, now focusing 80 carries, I think particularly a smart idea, considering how, again, 1xN and Yao Yao in lane have not been the most sturdy duo, and going up against Gala and Hong, we saw in the game one how dominant those two could be.
Viego, Wukong all taken off the board here. LNG taking away those AD carries. Might see the virus being banned away if they do so choose it, just to try and make sure 1xN is not on some kind of, you know, big burst champion that can turn the tide of a game with some of those AP virus builds. We'll see what they want to try and prioritize. But for the moment, just making sure that TT have themselves a decent top side. No Viego, no Wukong. We are going to start moving into the, you know, kind of the upper echelons of the fringe picks. But a Samira respect coming in here against 1xN to make sure he doesn't have that mobility in those team fights.
Interesting. So what does 1xN actually go for? Maybe they just try to take a support counter pick right now, just immediately go for either the Rel or the Rakan to try to, you know, nab that away from LNG. You see that they're already starting to hover. Okay, so they lock in the Rel here for LNG. Now they need to pick their jungle and support. We've been talking about Rakan the entire draft long, but Tarzan's jungle pick is going to be the most important. As someone that has been hot or cold for this roster, we saw game one, dominant, so good at being able to stop Beichuan from having their early game advantage. Then game two, getting immediately trounced by the Viego on the opposite side while he was on the Wukong. Reaches for the Nocturne. Okay, they want to dive.
I mean, the thing is, you look at the champions they have, the Nico, the Cassante, the Rakan, so much dive potential available here for LNG to kind of just all in on it. And especially when you have a shorter range AD carry like the Xayah, this is a perfect combination here for LNG to try and just put in pressure on the likes of Ucal. But if you get the Ezreal here for 1xN, try and just keep them at arm's length and use those Sand Soldiers and Mystic shots to make sure that LNG never get the opportunity.
They have so much frontline on the side of Thunder Talk. Renekton, Sejuani, and Rel should be able to lock down LNG's carries. And like you were saying, despite all of the dive tools that they might be able to have with the Rakan and the Nocturne, I think Gala might have a pretty difficult time of actually interacting with the fight. We'll see how it's actually able to be set out. But this is another game where I think early jungle pathing is going to be so important. Both of these junglers racing for level 6. Sejuani, less of an aggressive champion, especially with how many lanes that they can actually play around. LNG, they have push and bottom side, especially with how dangerous that 2v2 can be. I think this is as close as it's going to get, and we're getting some spicy different champions here in our draft.
Well, for TT, it's simple. You gotta win, and you're in. LNG, they're still hunting for a top 4. We still have the same kind of stakes here for both of these sides because realistically, they haven't changed a bit. Still waiting to see if TT can keep themselves alive or if LNG will be stomping them out and making sure we have our top 10 confirmed here into the playoffs. It is the third and final game here in our first series in Suzhou. LNG trying to see if they could maybe get themselves a bit more of a foothold in this early game comparatively to game number 1 than they did in game number 2.
And it all comes down to this. I mean, it's so exciting, Oisin. Like, we come off of a game 2 that was, to be fair, LNG favored. The entire time we were seeing them make plays, but Beichuan on the Viego was putting in work. He was getting the objectives. He was making sure to keep them in the game. This time, he is on Sejuani. He will not have that same kill pressure that we had on the Viego. Gyos are ringing true. Can TT keep that playoff dream alive? Tarzan needs to be able to not only escape, but also we'll watch for both of these are going. Both games have been decided around the jungle.
I don't normally mention skins, but Tarzan's wearing the best Nocturne skin, objectively, Spooky Ghost Bedsheet Nocturne, which is my personal favorite.
Respect.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta go for it. Of course, I'm not the Nocturne expert. That would be VODS over in the LEC. Technically, he's a Nocturne mid expert, but
yeah,
we'll see. Nocturne, yeah. I mean, it's been kind of coming back into the fringe picks as such. It has been a pretty decent kind of after everything's been banned, much like the Viego, the Wukong, and the Vi. It kind of comes into the 4th, 5th pick coming out here for a lot of junglers in our league.
I'm loving how we're getting a lot of different kind of champions, right? Like, we got the Lilia last night for JDG. That was a lot of fun. I'm trying to see the match list here for Nocturne as to who we were actually able to see pick it up last. I have a feeling it was... like, there's no... Okay, so it was Tianjin going up against JDG. Yeah. And that was a victory. That was when we saw IG actually take that win over JDG up against the Ivern. I am a little worried here for LNG. I think Nocturne is going to feel pretty lost in this game, and if it's not Nocturne, then it's going to be Xayah. She won't have a lot of fun, and we talked about the front line here for Thunder Talk. Building out available for Ezreal, he is going to be so tricky to actually lock down. We talked about mobility available for 1xN. Well, now you have all the tools. If you get caught out now, it's like, all right, man. Like, we gave you everything you could have wanted.
Pretty much, yeah. We actually did see a little bit of the minions, or the chickens going over to Scout there. Unfortunate for the Nocturne. We'll see if it leads to anything kind of crazy. Does look like he's able to get up to level 3, no bother whatsoever. I was curious there if the XP difference would be enough to significantly daunt or hinder his progression, but it should be just fine. And then honestly, again, we're just kind of accepting that there's just, top side and bot side are, kind of owned by either side. TT have the pressure bot lane, and of course in mid, so they're able to kind of control those camps. And of course for LNG, they have priority for this Cassante into the Renekton. So again, not really expecting much to come out of this Nocturne until level 6. Like I said, he's going to be a little bit lost until he has access to that kind of dive potential. And at that point, there's lots of, disengage tools available for TT. We'll see if they're able to kind of keep him in a box.
And I love what Beichuan's doing here, actually, by going for the Gromp first and then going for the Wolves. It gives them a lot of flexibility. You can even see Tarzan is doing something very similar where they can end up towards the mid lane. And if they need to, immediately play towards the bottom side. Scout is crashing a massive wave in the mid lane. And we're seeing actually Beichuan swap up. He went towards the bot side. We actually see both of these junglers going mirrored and going towards the opposite side of the map, and then immediately flipping that, playing on for the Gromp. You have to imagine, if they're able to spot out either of each other or maybe get a hint as to where any of these camps are, there's a very real likelihood that they either meet or they try to find something. Scout!
Yes, get the flash away there, but tanking that turret was not the ideal situation here. And LNG Beichuan, LNG's Beichuan, TT's Beichuan, very much in a position to try and deny it there. But now Scout is a minion, and maybe he wants to try and bump on the Beichuan here. They are going to try and burn him down. No Tangle Barb to land, but they've got the damage! And First Blood goes back over to Scout, immediately traded back to Ucal, who wants to maybe go for this one. Be a flash knockup available. Flash from Ucal. If he gets knocked up there, he's almost certainly dead, because like you said, the Ignite was ready for Hung.
I love how close these guys are playing it. There is no holds bar anymore. We're getting a little sloppy. We're just going for plays left and right. 4-1 there. The mid laners were able to pick up kills. I was worried about that damage, and especially from the way that we got to see Beichuan play it out, is able to equalize that alongside his mid laner. So forces the teleport. This was just a play where for Beichuan, he's helping Ucal actually crash that wave so he can at least get a favorable back compared to Scout, who will have to have caught that. One final Sand Soldier is the difference between getting a return kill and having to walk home empty-handed.
This is the fine margins. Good trade back here for TT to make sure they do not just let the kill go to the side of LNG, and that's about it. So we'll see if they're able to kind of go anything else from this one here. I will say you're on a Ezreal this time around here for 1xN. So game 1 he was on the Aphelios. Game 2 the Samira found himself really far behind, but he's now got the safety and the kind of the range to throw out those mystic shots, constantly be, you know, keeping in line with the CS, you would imagine, of Gala. So shouldn't be seeing him falling too far behind.
I think it's the first time in this series we haven't seen 1xN with a gold deficit, which is impressive enough, right? Like, we're talking about, like, when we say this, we're talking about 1xN. This is a rookie player. This is a new player to the LPL going up against Gala, one of the most historic AD carries to grace this region, as well as to just play in general. He has been able to win so many, like, just have so many accolades as an individual, and going against 1xN, oh my god, wait a minute. They survived that.
Do indeed. Cleanse and Ignite was burned by Gala and Hong respectfully, but now Beichuan realizing he maybe doesn't have the priority he think he does, and they're going to be able to clear this ward. There's going to be resets coming in the bot side, so LNG will get themselves the first dragon. TT will not have that stacking objective available for themselves like they did in game 2.
Getting that early, a lot of it comes from the fact that they do have this bottom lane with Xayah Rakan, means that you can just take over so much of this bottom side jungle. You will always win 2v2s, barring some massive misplay, or TT able to avoid the skill shots like we saw, just being able to get out of dodge. You got all those summoner spells. We'll see what they're actually able to do on the bottom side of the map, because there is a minute away from this Rift Herald. You see both supports should be moving in, setting up for this objective. They have a Renekton on the opposite side. When we talk about this champion, it is always the ease of priority you can get for this objective. I mean, Tarzan's moving over. He should be very close to level 6, similar to Beichuan, but Beichuan still has about another camp before he can actually go for that play. Tarzan, he's going to finish his Gromp and be ready with this ultimate.
We'll take a breath, because Lord knows that the early game doesn't have a huge amount of skirmishing, as Hoya going to have to slice and dice to get himself away, but this series has taught us that, generally speaking, we don't see a massive amount of team fights or action until about the 16 to 17 minute mark, and that's when things really start to kick off. So coming into this one, I think a lot of people, you know, again, you love it. Everyone loves an underdog story. TT are kind of that team that you want to see if you want to go for it. But, I mean, it's just so, again, it's not in their hands. They need results to go for themselves. But, again, it just feels heartbreaking, especially for Ucal, who, funny enough, despite potentially going, you know, 7-9 and not making it into playoffs, has had such an incredible split here on this roster.
Well, okay, hold up. We're assuming 7-9. They have to still win not only this series, they have to beat JDG, which in recency, you will say, oh, well, they lost to IG, but again, I think we have to expect a lot more from our top two teams, especially for someone coming off of an MSI championship. 7-9, I think, will be very impressive. If they beat JDG, then fine. Ashin, I'll eat my words. They get to be ballers in the LPL, and they'll make it. But their fate is in their hands for this game, but afterwards they're waiting. They're waiting for FPX to take a pretty dominant series up against NIP, which will be coming up after this series. As we get back into this one, Rift Herald taken here for Beichuan. We'll see what they could do. 2.5 minutes. We have to expect that what they'll do is wait for mid lane, play around this. They might send over yuyanjia to actually help control the wave, and then make sure that they can take that, drop the Rift Herald, grab some plates, and immediately move in for the dragon. LNG, they do not want to give up. They want to give zero respite. And I love how, after the first couple of kills, how slowed down everything is. Nobody wants to make the mistake that potentially gives over a massive lead to the opponent.
You do have a paranoia, like you mentioned. We'll see Hoya Trying to take a bit of a trade. I mean, this, new tech of when you go pick the Cassante into the Renekton. The Renekton still does very well in those team fights, still an exceptional carry, but just having that Bramble Vest first item, getting into the Thornmail means that you're able to deal with his Gore Drinker kind of procs. Yao Yao now finding himself caught in that kind of pseudo invade he's going for right now, as we do have Scout just clearing out some vision in the mid lane. Both flashes back for pretty much everybody who used them in that last passage of play. Beichuan looking for a little bit of a movement here to try and maybe secure some vision around this Rift Tile, but now Scout's gonna flash in, they're gonna dive everybody in and get the kill onto Ucal. Immediately Tarzan jumps straight back in on top of everybody. And that's going to be a quick kill here for LNG. Flashes blown galore, but LNG get their man.
That is one of the combos that I was thinking, but maybe we didn't necessarily put too much emphasis in, is the fact that when you have this Nocturnal, as soon as you turn off the lights, it is nigh impossible to actually see where Nico is. You just have to go off of muscle memory. Like, where did I last see Nico? Is she on top of me? And right there, they hide Scout's ultimate so well in that situation. Getting the flash as well will open a ton of kills. Dragon spawning in a minute. We'll see if that's another play for them. Tarzan is clearing down. Should have a lot of gold that he could go for a reset on afterwards after he takes this Gromp. And what a great play from them. And maybe they try to make a response onto Zika here. Beichuan does have the ultimate, and it seems like Hoya was waiting. Does have the dominance he can pop, but not enough rage right now.
Yeah, ward goes down. They saw that Beichuan just reset, so Zika going to feel actually a lot more confident now that he saw the Sejuani go for a full reset. Let a look at the replay here, and again, like you said, just Scout doing really well to kind of pretend to be the Rakan, and yeah, I mean, like, what are you supposed to do there? If you don't know where the Rakan is before this, you're just done.
Instantly. Good job, again, from not only Scout and Tarzan, but also getting Hung to go up there. Our top laners use their flash and ultimate there. There's no all-out or dominus, and I'm seeing a lot of low HP bars. Hoya is going to miss out on this wave. Zika, I wonder if he's just going to prioritize going for the plate, since he's really not going to be able to interact with this dragon fight anyway that's coming up. Advantage here for TT. Yao Yao has hit level 6 and is here first. Hung is going to be running out of base and no longer has that ultimate.
See the replay there in the bottom right. As Tarzan will have his paranoia back. Pop Blossom already there. No quickness, though, for Hung, and that's kind of a key thing here. So not going to have that extra bit of CC to try and burst somebody out before they can flash away. Because remember, yes, you used all of your flashes. You got the kill on Ucal. Ucal didn't use his flash. That's the big thing here. So if they try to go for that one again, it's not going to be as instant to try and, CC him down. So right now, it is going to be TT moving down Hoya, and actually both top laners getting a reset, leaving the island that is topside, and looking to try and make something work here around this Dragon Pit. This could be a huge 5v5 here, and TT need everything for it. They're going to see the Pop Blossom, and it's going to land. Scout trying to get on top of him. They're going to see Ucal flashing away, but they finally get on top with the Nocturne. He dives onto the back side. Scout shall survive. Beichuan flashes, but he's in enemy territory. He won't be leaving here. He won't be coming home unless it's in a body bag, and that's going to be TT again. Falling to the wayside. Gala picks up his first kill of the game, and this game is starting to run away from TT.
Just too slow of a reaction from Thundertalk. Like, you know where that Nico is. You see the ultimate happening in front of you. Why is there no flash? Maybe Ucal thinking that he can get out before the ultimate is able to go off. Good punishment coming out from LNG. It grabs them the second Drake, but feels like Thundertalk, their mid lane, the guy that we upped for being so pivotal in that last game, just not really respecting it. Okay, a lot of it is hidden in the on-ramp coming in from River. That is the hidden Z-axis at play there, but this flash, it's just too little too late. Tarzan even showing a lot of patience not to use the ultimate before it goes down. They find this kill into Beichuan. It secures them the dragon as well.
I mean, this is the momentum that kind of shakes TT to its core. It's how we saw game number 1 go. Dragon stacking, pit kills, plates, these small little things that kind of lead into a much larger incremental advantage here for the side of LNG. They will have themselves about a 2,500 gold lead now as we come into the 14-minute mark. Feels like we've said that every single game so far. But I mean, it's just getting harder and harder here to see how TT can come back into us. It's not impossible, but it's definitely going to be a more difficult winning. I will say, with the Chem Soul being on the Rift, they may just leave that and say, look, we're happy to farm. That's not a massive soul in our eyes, so we could just wait for the Elder and hope for a flip.
Oh, look at this dive, though. I mean, Hung is here. They also have Scout. His ultimate is up and available. They don't have to really do much. Ucal and Beichuan are on their way, so they will be able to protect for this. Remember, Riftailed is spawning in a few seconds here. Zika has teleport, and he is all by himself. The more that LNG are able to control this river, the less TT can do, and they're also losing out just across the map.
What can you do now as TT? You can't really contest for this Rift Herald. Feels like it's just a foregone conclusion that LNG should be able to pick it up. And while that's happening, the funny thing is normally you kind of overload the Rift Herald side of the map, and you know the enemy team's able to throw someone bot side, they get a turret, they trade back. But now LNG are kind of saying, look, we don't even need to go for this right now. We can wait. It's up for another 5 minutes. We can get the tower, get resets in, and kind of keep TT in this weird limbo.
The last 6 times these teams have fought, it has been LNG every single time. And we talked about this actually before the show, but the last time Thunder Talk as an organization was able to find a win, Thunder Talk wasn't even in the league. They actually were Dominus originally all the way back in spring 2020. They won up against LNG, and that roster had Mark, who's currently on TES. You have Gala, someone that they're actually playing against right now, and Ala. So it's been a while. There's been so much change. Gala before then was kind of an up-and-coming AD carry at that point who had really started to make his name, but now he's done it all. He's been able to win MSI multiple times. He's been on multiple different rosters now, and here he is looking to boot out one of the older rosters that kind of helped him.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing, the LPL. Names change, but the teams, the essence of what they were kind of stays the same. And Gala just having a great performance. Honestly, he had a great performance in game 2, even though they did lose, and unfortunate there to kind of not be able to kind of carry that one for his team. But now we can see LNG recognizing that someone's been in our bot lane, and they are able to kind of continually sweep out all this vision. 1 minute 40 until the dragon spawns. Rift Herald was secured here by LNG while we were kind of just having a bit of a reset from everybody. And you look at the map, you look at the state of it, you know, the first items coming in for this team, it is going to be about if TT can get that damage down with the Azir and the Ezreal before a fight can really end. If they can land a couple of key Mystic shots before anything kind of really kicks off, they could potentially go for a big fight afterwards. But again, that's a lot of if, buts, and maybes.
The issue that LNG are having right now is they are so pick-oriented. A lot of this map is based on can Scout push out a side lane, try to find a pick. You see that because there are a few outer turrets actually missing here for Thunder Talk, that many members can't actually step up. Ucal being very bold, knowing that both Rel and the Sejuani are hovering towards his side, and maybe they try to make this play. Yao actually taking a little bit of a different path. They will give up so much priority for this dragon. You were saying maybe they just decide to give up the soul, but because they just all showed like that, they're going to lose his mid-tier one. Again, making it easier for Tarzan to find more and more of those ultimates.
Shirley gets herself a nice little move. Scout kind of committing to the bit right now, and that's exactly why, because they can get the knock up, they get the second charge, and they get themselves a kill. That is why Scout was able to make so much work here. This could be a second turret. We are going to see them look to try and jump onto Scout. Gala keeping Hoya away. Beichuan dies. TP in from Zika to confirm the tower. And I mean, Ucal didn't even think about joining his team. I think he recognized, look, it's a dead kind of setup right now. And they are going to see them all jumping over this one here. Scout might get caught out. No, Hoya thinks the better of it. I think he realizes, you know what? I don't have any magic resistance, and we might just lose that fight in general. So that's going to be soul point now here for LNG at 18.5 minutes. It's a 6,000 gold leader just underneath it. I mean, this game is just starting to get further and further away. And look, TT, you had an opportunity. You got yourself into game 3, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
The gold was even before this. Yao just stepping way too far up. Yeah, you used the Q as a stun to try to stop the Rift Herald, but after that, maybe TT didn't cut their losses. I mean, look at where they're at. Ucal is nowhere near this fight, guys. Why are we looking for this?
He's not even looking at it.
Exactly. The whole point of this Ezreal is to whittle away at the opponents, and he's nowhere near even finished an item at the point. Yeah, he has a Menamune, but nowhere near finished stacking. Has the Sheen as an inventory, and Hoya was not in position. Beichuan, I think, maybe feeling a little bit pressure to actually do something, and in that situation, nothing is better than anything than just that play by itself.
Yeah, I mean, I like that you brought up the Ezreal pickup as well, because it does feel like your mana Mune not turning into a, you know, not being upgraded as such to a Muramana, it just feels like you're not really in a position to fight these things. You're kind of 2 half items, or even a half item and a third of an item, versus 2 full items for Gala, who's able to get the Navori Quick Blades, has the Kraken Slayer, and it's just straight up going to be doing more damage to these front lines. He's going to have a lot more presence in these kind of small skirmishes because of the way he's built, and that's just the nature of crit strike AD carries.
Oh god, you gotta. We're feeling a little trepidatious for LNG, for TT right now, because we have seen them be in this state before. Every single one of these games in this series has been LNG favored. Game 2 came down to a miracle play, a fine from Ucal, a good job coming out from Beichuan to keep them in, but Beichuan has not had the same impact this time around on the Sejuani. Hoya, while is playing the Renekton 0-0-0, similar to what we saw in Game 2, and Ucal, I mean, he got his Azir again. Game 1, there was nothing for him to do this time around. It is getting to that point yet again where 6,000, almost 7,000 gold in the lead right now. Your marksman just now finished Trinity Force. 1xN is going to be powerful in the next 3 minutes, but you need to be able to hold on. That dragon is spawning in that timer. Will you actually have a meaningful team fight, or are you just going to be able to fall apart? We need to see them execute.
You see them execute or be executed. That is the question. I will say, 1xN has picked up his Triforce. I mean, it's just the way it is. Oh, Scout! Beautifully covers it, flashes away from the Magnet Storm. I feel like that just kind of summarizes TT season right there. Just not quite sticking the landing. And now you don't have this Glacial Prison. You don't have the Magnet Storm. You don't have a way to fight around this Baron. This could be LNG just trying to force it right now.
I would like to make a trade deal with the refs of the LPL. Can we allow helicoptering, but no longer allow Nico Cologne to tank ultimates like that? Please. I'm asking as not an official TT representative, but someone who has a vested interest. I would love to see them do well. Here for TT though, that just hurts, right? Like, that was your one play that you can try to go for, and if any of them try to take recalls, if anybody gets picked here, LNG are threatening a Baron.
That's the thing. You see Hoya has to be here. This is a 45. Zika's bot lane. Zika's pushing in this wave. So this is more pressure, more presence for LNG. And there's nothing really that TT can do about it. The Rocket Belt isn't going to proc the Shattered Queen passive, but it is going to just kind of solidify. You can see LNG's presence around this Baron. They're not going to go for it just yet, but they are just trying to see if they can get as much out of TT as they possibly can. Hoya finally gets himself down towards that bot side, but a minute till that Chemdrake Soul comes up, you would imagine LNG are just going to keep ticking away at these waves, go and try and get themselves some completed items, and then immediately pick up that soul for themselves.
A single minute here may decide Thunder Talk season, whether or not it goes on, or if they have a potential to, you know, really have a chance at least to see the postseason. Remember, it is this game, not only this, but they require FPX to 2-0 NIP, which will be the next series after this. So whether or not that actually is going to occur does put some weight onto that series from this one. And I mean, now they're in a position where, okay, you've spent all your gold, you have to be as powerful as possible. Maybe they end up trying to trade this and go for a Baron. Remember, they have an Ezreal and they have this Azir who can add so much damage onto an old Nashers. That's what it's called. Jesus Christ, Baron Nasher for them to take. But they have to make the call. They cannot hesitate, and that has been the crux for them every single game.
I like how you're the embodiment of a TT fan right now. You're getting stressed. You're getting frustrated.
Yeah.
You're not quite sure where to go. Your execution
1xN, please.
Yeah, you just need something to come out of it. There's the Chem Soul confirmed by LNG. 6,000 HP now onto this Baron. You have to flip this. This is your season, TT.
Scout.
You have to get this one going for yourself as they try to make this one work. No! Stolen!
No.
Denied! Baron goes over to LNG, and now the fight can really ensue. The Pop Blossom lands onto the backside. Yes, you get the Recon, but the rest of you shall die. Your season dies with it, TT, as LNG will solidify your place into no postseason. You will not be making it into top 10.
Goodbye to Thunder Talk. We see our final seed for the playoffs. And actually in a similar time to game 1, LNG, they're going to take game 3. They're going to close out this series, like you were saying, and it's a heartbreak. A magical steal there for Tarzan to immediately clap back at Thunder Talk. Scout with an amazing Pop Blossom. And this is it. This is the last time we're going to see Thunder Talk, at least for now. They will go up against JDG, but that one also feels like a final dunk on the end of their season. LNG, they want to make top 4. They want to solidify their spot as well and contest top esports.
I mean, look, it was valiant, it was brave, it was almost everything that we wanted and more. But right back on their fountain, they shall watch their Nexus fall, and TT fall with it. That is LNG 2-1 on the series. TT are out of playoff contention.
You know what that means? Congratulations, Ninjas of Jammas. Welcome as the 10th seed coming in to the playoffs.